What's up, guys? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. I mean, holy reversal day. I don't know what else to say about this. Guys, the market gapped down pretty big on the Meta earnings, and then also we had GDP, and we saw a nasty little open. And it looked, and it really even felt like it's like, man, maybe we get like some kind of like thirsty Thursday, crashy environment. And man, thank God I'm a day trader and I don't have to make these decisions because my inkling was totally wrong. The opening tick, the market got bought up. I mean, the opening tip, the market got bought up, and we were just literally off to the races. And then you know what? They sucked in some shorts by pulling to the VWAP, and then it was off to races. Now the good part is that as day traders we can change, and once you see like this kind of VWAP holding the run, you do have some time to play a little bit of catch up. So we don't always have to be right. We could be wrong a lot. And, my inkling was like, shit, man, maybe this is going to be a weird day. Now, the only caveat, that was that the gap was actually so big and there were so many stocks down and oversold that right at the opening tick, that often that does lead to some level of reversal. But usually that just goes into the EMAs and then you kind of come back down. I will say, man, that was a hard read. I'm a momentum trader by nature. So when I see these gaps, I'm always, thinking about, right, the continuation. And, I'm an anarchist at heart. So when I see this kind of like negative news, I'm like, yeah, I get excited to short. But the play was to the long side. And by the end of it, you got to kind of chase things up a little bit. And that's the market we're in. This is a very tricky market for, any of you guys that are new because, 2 days yesterday, we had some good news out, right, in the market, and there were some earnings and all this stuff with Tesla, and you had the gap up, and then you completely reversed and rolled red, and then, you had a little bit of a stick save. And then today, it's like with Meta's earnings and the GDP, you gap down, and then you completely reverse the other way, right? And so this is classic, like kind of mean reversion tactics, classic, right, kind of distribution tactics and things of that nature. And so it does make it tricky because initially your first read could be wrong, and then you got to kind of, right, reflip and do some things, and that's okay, but it does make it for a trickier environment for me personally as somebody that likes to trade, trends and, anarchist at heart, right? I love the destruction, man. I really do. But hey, what are you going to do, man? There's some good setups for tomorrow. So the big news of tonight is obviously that we have earnings in Microsoft and Google. And so we have a 2%, gap in Microsoft. Nothing crazy, but I will say the gap on the old Google is incredible, right? So at one point it was up 12%, it's up 9% right now. A breakout to all-time high, so a little bit better chart than Microsoft at the moment, which has not broken out to all-time highs. It's been at all-time highs for quite some time, so a little bit different setup, but both of these are reacting pretty well. So we are going to see once again a gap up tomorrow, and so this is where things are going to get tricky. We're going to have, let's say, a 1% gap or something along that end. And now we're going to be faced with some decisions. Does the gap reverse? Does it do what it did the previous day on the Tesla earnings and then refade? Or do we just gap and continuate, which is very rare, but we did have on Wednesday a actual gap and then grind. And so we've had three different things, right? There's kind of three different options on gaps. You get gap and grind, you get gap fades, and we've had a mix of all of those of recent. And so this becomes really, really tricky. But I would say, even though the market is still in this weird, suspicious spot, that there are some good looking setups out there. And so there's two different aspects of things. You have your overall look of the indexes, but then you've got, right, are there any individual stocks that are looking juicy? And there's quite a few. There was quite a few nice reactions to earnings, right? Like this pie today, right? little bit, unloved company. It's still a $3 billion company, but right, you get a gap up on earnings, a pullback into 90 EMA, right, and this just nice trend on it. And so there's a handful of these kind of names out. And so that's still telling us, right, that there is some health in the market. And obviously the reversal helps too. And so let's go in and just have ourselves a little bit of fun and go through the watch list here real quick. So, I got Pi on watch for a day two play. Once again, I think we're going to need to let the gap kind of settle tomorrow on the QQQs. I would not chase it up because of the reversals of the reversal, right? Today reversal, day before reversal. So essentially we're reversing the reversals sometimes. I don't know, something along that end. But I like this setup. This should move regardless to what the market is doing. We've got Riley here, man. So Riley had this news out that they finally announced, did their annual reports. Didn't do much that day, but you got a day two play on it that had some sick range, right? And now you've got like a nice level here at 35. That's got a good spot to it. Dude, a weak open, a red to green over 35. Any hold over 35, I think, is pretty good. NEM, never seen a gold stock move like this before. They usually don't have this kind of range, but it's telling you something about gold. First of all, you've got, right, that big, increase in volume. It's normally doing like 12 million shares. Now you've got 35. Had good range on this too, right? So liquidity plus range is a nice sweet spot because you can get size in it. You can use tighter stops. You can do a lot more fun stuff. You don't got to worry about the fugazis on them. This CAC's had a nice earnings breakout too. Kirby one, shares rise after EPS revenues beat. That's kind of, the sweet spot of trading. You see, if you look left, right, you got all this range you're clearing out. My only worry on this one is it does lack a little liquidity. A+ chart, C+ volume. VRT, after the fade on the day of the earnings, it went red to green today and totally came back. We've got an easy level here right at 94. I mean, we've got a nice sweet spot to trade around. I love, even though we trade patterns and technical analysis, when you can marry some type of pattern with some type of level, you end up with just a much more powerful play. And so we've got ourselves a good spot over there. I think we definitely got to play the Google, based on just this reaction here. Yeah, SMCI had a nice day today, and I would anticipate that, you kind of maybe come in and fill some of this gap. And then, I'm interested in trying to take a short before the earnings, not hold into the earnings, but, the day before the earnings or 2 days before the earnings, because, dude, they had this huge dump because there was something going on, right? Because they didn't pre-announce their earnings as usual, indicating that maybe there's something, right, suspicious or nefarious going on. Also, SEC, SMCI, I believe in 2020, did get in trouble for some, right, faulty kind of accounting tricks. And so, I'd love this, we may get a little rollover in this bad boy. So let's keep an eye out on this one. Tesla took out the previous day's range into the close today. Dude, that's a sweet spot, right? I mean, that's a sweet spot. I was messing around with this thing at the VWAP, and then we took off to the beach. It's like I came back, and this thing had gone rock and roll, 8 points into the close, pull back, flag pattern, pull back to the 20, pull back to 9. You want to see that kind of stuff, right? It's indicating to you that it's tradable, that it's clean, that you can trust it. You always want to look and see, like, you can have the hottest chart in the world, but if the pattern is not moving clean, or if it's got a history of screwing you over, then, usually you got to leave that alone. So it's a good look on it. I think with the Google earnings, these semis are probably in play tomorrow. I think, NVIDIA is just something you watch. The chart for me is not awesome. This SMTC is, right? You got a nice flag breakout there. Love Coop Bang here too. Flag breakout. This is an earnings popper over here. Big volume on this one. Been consolidating on lower volume, just compressing the range, building up steam. It's been impervious to the gaps both ways, right? It's got its own thing that it's up to. So I do like that one. UAL, you got a spot here right at about 54 and some change, right, for a breakout. So just mark this here at probably about 54.50 is a release point. GE and GEV, they had inside days, and now you got kind of a little engulfing action here. I think you should be able to come out of this range and take out this. all things considered. Same thing with GE. After the earnings, you had inside day. This thing could be, you know, a little bit of fun for tomorrow. I love it when you have like powerful earnings and you have an inside day, right? So it's just like two candles that are inside the big news day. It's an indication of strength, but it also just builds up steam. It's very powerful day trade setup. MPC, you know, if the oil stocks start to pick up some steam, you don't really have anything in oil just yet, but it looks like they're starting to remount, right? And, you know, so if you start to come out of this on USO, you know, nice close today, right? Then you got MPC, you got a nice level here on the hourly chart where, you know, if you come out of this, you could start a little bit of run right back into the zone of love. JBHT, if we need a short, this one looks like it wants to take out, right, this earnings low, impervious to the ups and downs of the market. It's just bleeding out. Future, I think, you know, it had a little bit of a down day today, but I would just consider this a rest day, letting the EMAs catch up. You know, let that 9 EMA curl up right up under the kitchen on this bad boy. Looks pretty good. Bear flag on play if we need a short here. Bear flag on W if we need a short here. Both of these, right, if you look at the hourly charts, just marinating a little bit under that breakdown spot. So you got a few shorts, you got a few longs, and then we got earnings tomorrow. You know, a lot of good stuff. And guys, by the way, you know, for those of you guys that don't like to day trade, you know, stocks, you know, we have options and swing trades. Levi in our options room has just been crushing puss, man. He's been, you know, mostly just doing the SPY and the QQQs. But dude, the last few days, it's like he's just become a SPY Svengali here, and he's been really going to town on these bad boys. So, you know, we have a free trial to that too. So if you don't like to day trade equities, you could come in and just do this kind of shit. It's like, you know, trading small caps. All right. So I love you guys. Peace.